We're feeding and fueling, giving life force energy to things which actually deplete us, which create fear, which give us worry. How much are we still carrying of our past? How much are we still burdening ourselves psychologically? Are we watering the weeds, or are we appreciating the roses? We nourish everything with our attention and our consciousness. Wherever our thoughts flow, we're feeding that thing. If we change our mind, will it change everything in our life? And so we can start to move away from the first acronym of fear, which is forget everything and run, to actually face everything and rise. And I find the more that we understand the mechanics of something, the more we can legitimately gain mastery over that medium. And so, as we mentioned, our minds are kind of hidden from us, and we don't really understand how they function or how they influence us because their ways are particularly subtle. So there are three of my favourite fables which I want to share with you guys, and they come from different traditions and they've come to humanity at different epochs, but somehow they've lived on. And fables are how knowledge is transferred in a traditional way, because information, it's not so difficult to retain, but if a story touches your imagination, it does. And it's said that there was a member of the tribe, one of the elders, who was always known for his equanimity and amount of buoyancy and joyfulness he carried each day, and it uplifted people. But one particular day that wasn't the case. He was sitting looking terribly troubled on the banks of a river, and his grandson, who was playing upstream, noticed him and came streaming down and looked into his eyes and said, "Grandfather, are you okay? You don't seem to be your normal self." And he looked at his grandson and he said, "No, I'm not okay." He said, "What's going on?" And he said, "There's a war raging inside me. Two wolves are fighting. One is the wolf of evil and greed and jealousy and avarice and destitution." And he said, and the other wolf he's fighting is the wolf of love, of kindness, of compassion, of gentleness. And the grandson looked at his grandfather and said, "Who's going to win?" And he said, "Whichever one I feed." And it's very much the case. As human beings, we're this field of infinite potential. This mind that we have is powerful, it's sophisticated, but it often lacks discernment. And sometimes we're feeding and fueling, giving life force energy to things which actually deplete us, which create fear, which give us worry and all these things. So it requires us to be very mindful of our entire inner dialogue. We want to make the unconscious conscious, and we want to become very attentive to that world within us. If we change our mind, will it change everything in our life?